Adam Smith's The Wealth of Nations was published in 1776, the same year as the Declaration of Independence. Both were revolutionary. Smith called his book a very violent attack on the whole commercial system of Great Britain. However, he was optimistic about North American colonies, which he saw as a laboratory for free markets. He predicted that the U.S. would become a great nation and Britain's senior trading partner, which it did. Smith's insights informed America's founders and boosted the Industrial Revolution. Intriguingly, President Donald Trump has pursued some policies that Smith criticized. Smith said economic growth and national wealth are driven by three factors: the universal desire of people to better their condition, the division of labor, and free trade. He wrote,
"It is not from the benevolence of the butcher, the brewer, or the baker that we expect our dinner, but from their regard to their own interest."
Smith noted that people naturally divide their labor between trades and professions because this increases their productivity. He said even pins and woolen coats relied on the assistance and cooperation of many thousands. Widespread free trade was desirable because larger markets spurred specialization, further increasing productivity. The price system facilitates and guides cooperation and competition, rewards efficiency and innovation, and creates wealth. The downside to the invisible hand of the market is that its benefits are often unappreciated. This makes one vulnerable to superficially attractive but damaging policies. Smith especially targeted mercantilism, the notion that a nation can be made greater by taxing or otherwise restricting imports, favoring exports, promoting national champions, and accumulating gold. He was not opposed to tariffs as a source of revenue per se, but believed it was poor industrial strategy. Markets involved higgling and bargaining. The division of labor followed as the
consequence of a certain propensity in human nature to truck, barter, and exchange one thing for another.
Smith did not believe that markets could ever be perfect or trade completely free in the real world, but to the extent they existed, people received the benefit.
If a nation could not prosper without the enjoyment of perfect liberty and perfect justice, there is not in the world a nation which could ever have prospered.
Smith conceded that tariff retaliation might be worthwhile if it succeeded in making trade partners lower or abandon their own tariffs. However,
to judge whether such retaliations are likely to produce such an effect does not perhaps belong so much to the science of a legislator, whose deliberations ought to be governed by general principles, which are always the same, as to the skill of that insidious and crafty animal vulgarly called a statesman or politician, whose counsels are directed by the momentary fluctuations of affairs.
In this light, Trump seems more like a crafty animal than a principled legislator. Trump's main economic policy target is China, a persistent trade cheat. However, Trump regards tariffs primarily as a key revenue generator and element of broader interventionist strategy designed to make America great again, not as a tool to bring countries to the bargaining table with the goal of achieving free trade. That said, China is the world's foremost mercantilist state, and Trump is not the worst among Smith's men of system, who treat economic actors as chess pieces. That dubious distinction goes to green industrial strategists who promote technologies of the future to address an alleged climate crisis. Trump has never embraced this bad policy. China, however, has taken the lead in the production of electric vehicles and wind and solar equipment. Critics of free market competition pounce on Smith's statement.
People of the same trade seldom meet together, but the conversation ends in a conspiracy against the public.
However, Smith believed the problem was best dealt with by removing market restrictions and relying on competition. Smith believed that governments were essential, and whatever folly and presumption policymakers displayed could be overcome.
The uniform, constant, and uninterrupted effort of every man to better his condition is frequently powerful enough to maintain the natural progress of things toward improvement, in spite both of the extravagance of government and of the greatest errors of administration.
So long as the rule of law and free markets continue, hope remains for the North America that Smith was so optimistic about.
The preceding was an abridged version of Peter Foster's essay. Please visit frontiercenter.org for the full written version.